Thank you very much for coming, everyone. It's quite short notice that we organised this. We had the opportunity to host Brenda, and so I'm very pleased that so many people have come. I know there's a lot of interest in Busan and the broader aid effectiveness agenda at the moment. To very briefly introduce the panel so that we can just get underway. Brenda Killen is the head of aid effectiveness at the OECD. So she is very much behind the whole Paris process, but in particular at the moment, the Busan conference. Lucia is the lead Busan person at DFID. So she'll be giving us her views on what Brenda has to say. What Brenda's going to do, well, she'll tell you, but is basically present how the survey's gone, what the evidence says about aid effectiveness, very briefly, because I know that I hope a lot of you are kind of involved in that, and how the conference is looking. What we thought we'd do, we'd invite major donors. So DFID is one major donor. Actually, I think interestingly, for a panel such as this, we've invited the European Investment Bank, here represented by Daniel Ottolenghi, who's the London representative, because Busan is moving beyond aid effectiveness, famously looking at other forms of development finance, and the European Investment Bank is a very important bank, which doesn't associate itself with aid or donor vocabulary, but may well have links and interests in what's going to emerge from Busan. We'll wait to see. But what we wanted to do was ask the major donors not what they want out of Busan, but how they think possibly Busan would affect their actual practices. Because one of the pieces of evidence over the last 5 years is that there were a lot of promises at Paris, and some of them have been implemented. But in general, the message is donors have failed to do what they set out to do, and that's because most people think because of organisational incentives not to do so, and in fact because of public incentives, and that's why we've invited Jamie Drummond, who is the founder and director of One, a global campaign group that a lot of you will know. Jamie has been involved in campaigning for many years, and I'm hoping that he's going to be able to link the technical discussions around aid effectiveness that are going to take place in Busan with the much more public relationship between aid and the voters in donor countries, and in fact citizens in recipient countries as well. So that's my hope for this meeting. We've got a very interesting panel, so I'm going to allow them to speak a lot. Nevertheless, we've actually got a really interesting audience as well. I know a lot of you here are in the business, as it were. So I'm really, really keen to make sure there's a lot of time for everyone to ask questions, and Brenda and everyone have said how much they want to respond to questions, not just present their latest thinking. So without further ado, Brenda's going to speak for roughly 15 minutes.